applying that system. And so this post that was just posted,
all right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, Kol V'Lo La Yahawah, Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rachat Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amawan back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, all right, the snare of digital currency, all right. And I'm gonna play this one video. Thinking if I should grab a couple more.
Today is an opportunity for and build another conversation through our brain because we just transferred calls yesterday. The device is
actually, yeah, I'll grab two videos. Let me see this third one possibly.
We're excited to announce the next frontier AI model company to join GenAI.mil. That is Grok from XAI, which will go live later this month. Very soon, we'll have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna play two videos. And I'm gonna play this third one also. This third one is a little old. I had this one in the cut for a while. And the only reason I want to bring it out is because it goes with predictive programming based on the movie Terminator 2 Judgment Day. All right. And when you realize in that movie they had what you call Skynet. I believe that's what it was, right? Let me make sure. Okay. Skynet, Terminator movie. Yeah. So, yep, Terminator 2, Terminator 1, they had Skynet. All right, and they're actually talking about that to this day. All right, showing you that movies are predictive programming. You know, what you see in the movies comes to life, becomes reality later. All right, and Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah puts the spirit on these devils to make these videos. All right, to show us what our future will look like. All right, and you know the prophets always bringing up different types of movies. You know, and we filter it to the scriptures. Through the scriptures, all right, to show you that it's, you know, it's legit, all right. But let me grab this. Let me see this other one right here. Yeah, I'll grab these two videos, then that third video last. All right, so let's grab this first video, all right, and grab. As a matter of fact, before I go into that, let me grab this preset. This is Revelations 13. Let's take it from 14. And it reads, and he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. All right, going into what? The technologies that these devils have in these last days. All right. We are not to be ignorant to Satan's devices. Okay. So we know that Esau has all types of different technologies already ready to go, created already for this NWO, all right, and they're gonna pull it out in these last days, all right, and they're gonna, you know, deceive many with the means of those miracles, all right, with the means of those technologies, you know, through, you know, through gradualism, all right, through people being what's the word I'm looking for, you know, entertained, okay, by these devices. Okay, remember they make it feel like it's convenient for you. Okay, a lot of these devices, a lot of this technology going into this RFID, all right, is going to be pushed out as convenience. It's going to be pushed out as convenience through your, you know, through your celebrities, through your favorite actors and actresses. Okay, you see, again, you see him always pushing it through movies, all right, showing you what the future is going to look like, and that's what eventually is going to become, all right, through this NWO, all right. So it says, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. All right. And, you know, that's pretty much what they've been gradually brainwashing you and programming you with, to be programmed, right? To get with the program is their image. Okay. Everything that you see in society is contrary to YAHAWAH'S. So everything that's contrary is an image, all right, onto basically is basically for Esau to instill it in your mind, showing you that this is what the future holds, this is what the future is about, and you either gonna get with the program or you're gonna get left. All right. So, you know, they have what you call the Genesis mission, all right, where they want to create man in their image, all right, trying to copy YAHAWAH'S, all right. The Lord made man in his image, right? He made the Israelites in his image most of all right. And Esau is trying to rewrite that, all right, through his technology, through his science, his pseudoscience, all right. And he wants to give you a digital Messiah, all right, and he wants you to follow after the image that he programs you with, okay. That's why he wants you to be connected to his system, because if you can hack a computer, you can hack a person, all right. And there's no longer going to be needed. There's going to be no, computers and cell phones anymore, all right, because you yourself is going to become that Wi-Fi, that internet, okay. They want you to be the computer, the ultimate computer, all right, the ultimate device, which is basically coming in the form of transhumanism, okay. So they want you to be connected to their system so they can program you into their image and have you do what they want, how they please, right? Hack you just like they hack a computer, all right? And, you know, that's right around the corner. It's not even around the corner. It's already here, okay? As a matter of fact, now that I said that, you got videos like this, okay? This is an oldie, but I always like to bring it out because this happened in 2025, right?
My name, it's not too important.
Ready to hear some deep?
What I'm about to tell you is extremely important. I'm one of the first people to get a Neuralink implant in my skull. If you guys can see and don't really know what a Neuralink is, it's kind of like an electronic chip from Elon Musk embedded in your skull. At first it was kind of like a Fitbit, kept track of vital signs, stuff that was going on in my body. Eventually it's gotten to a point where I can move a mouse without even touching a computer. I can connect.
All right, so you see the point, because that's not one of the videos I wanted to show, but I just seen this video, right? So basically finishing off that video, he just shows you that, he basically tells you that this is 2025, all right, welcome to the future. And he said this might not be put into you, speaking to like the adults, the older generation, but he said it would definitely be put into your children, your children's children, all right? And that's when he said this is 2025, welcome to the future, all right? So you already had people in 2025 that were getting these things, and you had people before that that was already getting it, all right? As you go into the word in Revelations, the 13th chapter, verse 18, it speaks about the number being 666. When you go into that word 666, it goes into Chi stigma, all right? And that word stigma goes into basically, you know, you being branded, all right, with a technology, okay? But then at the bottom of it also says that you also had devotees, all right, that will literally do these things in the worship of their gods, all right? So there was going to be people that were not going to be forced to take this technology, but they will take it anyway because it was in the token of their gods, right? They might love technology, they might love science, okay? They believe in science. They believe in Esau and his technologies and devices that can save them. You see? So you got a lot of people that already have put these things on, okay, without being forced. All right, you got people in Sweden that have, you know, chip parties, basically. People walking around them out there with it freely without being forced. But see, here in America, it's going to be forced against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right? Because you are the true chosen people of the Bible. You are the Lord's chosen generation. So their job is to try to get it into your system, okay? All right? So with that being said, let me play the two videos that I originally wanted to get, all right? This is one of them.
She said the wonderful thing
Salakia.
about central bank digital currency is inflation is no longer.
I meant to finish that up in Revelations 13. Revelations 13 and 15, right? So they want you to take on the image of the system, right? And it says he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And the image of the beast is speaking, all right? They're telling you what's to come. They're telling you that this NWO is about to be put in place, all right? The elders and apostles been telling you about this for 35 plus years, man. All right, going all the way down to the prophets, the newest prophet that believes in YAHAWAH'S, okay? We have been constantly warning you for years after years, saying the same thing, sounding like a broken record, all right, that this day will come, okay? And that, you know, if you don't worship it, that you're going to become a martyr. You're going to be killed out here, okay? But see, the elect is not worried about that because the Lord said he will keep thee from the hour of temptation, right? Revelations 3 and 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, right? So the Lord is going to do what he do, right? Miracle-wise, to keep us away from those things, man, as long as we do the will of the Heavenly Father, all right? So we have nothing to worry about. The ones that need to be worrying is going to be these 2/3 that wanted to be stiff-hearted and stiff-necked, all right, that misused the prophets, scoffed and mocked us, okay? You're either going to die off through, you know, famine, or you're going to die off through the sword, which is going to be through Jacob's trouble, or you're just going to be, you know, lining up for that MOTB, and you're going to end up taking a missile, all right? Because anybody that takes that image, right, worships the image of the beast, all right, and puts it in their right hand or on their forehead, as the scriptures tell you in Revelations 14 and 9, all right, you're going to feel the wrath and indignation of the Lord YAHAWAH through the holy presence of the Lamb and his angels, right? So you're going to end up dying by the lake of fire, okay, for taking on this image and trusting in this image, right? It says, and he caused it all, both small and great, rich and poor, all right, showing you that there is no in between. There is no middle class anymore, okay? And I did a video on that 2 days ago or yesterday, all right? And it was telling you that, you know, they want to get rid of this middle class. Yeah, you're either going to be poor or rich. And mostly the whole world's going to be poor because the rich is only for the elites. The rich is only for the 1% that rule the world. So the rich is going to get richer and the rest of these people are going to be poor. And that's why it's going to be easier to gain the control of the rest of the people that's here left on earth, all right, after, you know, famine and the sword, which is martial law, takes a lot of these people out, you see, because it's going to be harder to try to get all these people at once to do it, all right? It'll just be too many. They'll be outnumbered, but they can gain more control with a small amount of people. So this is why you see them starving out right now. You know, America collapsing, all these economies worldwide, global collapse, basically, because of this NWO that's about to be set in place, okay? This is why you see war being waged, all right? And this is all from the top banking families that rule behind closed doors, all right? They know exactly what they're doing by putting these people into, you know, having nations stand up against nation, people stand up against people, right? Country against country, waging war on them, because a lot of people, that's also considered you dying by the sword. A lot of these people are going to be taken out of the way through the sword and the rest through famine, you see? So then whoever remains is that much easier to gain their control into the image, all right, of this RFID. Okay, so it says both rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Okay, so this is going to this video. All right, it says the future they are planning for you.
She said the wonderful thing about central bank digital currency is inflation is no longer a problem. If you have inflation, you just freeze everybody's bank accounts.
So she said the good thing about digital currency is that inflation is not going to be a problem, you see, because if they want to, they can just freeze up everybody's bank accounts. Now, think about it. This is how we know that the MOTB is about to be presented as mandatory, because we're in the midst of hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is about to go skyrocketed any day now. Within these next 2 months, all right, I give it a month, all right, speaking as a man, hoping for it, right, it's going to just go skyrocketed because of what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz right now, right? Remember, because of what's going on in the Strait of Hormuz, all right, and with this other one, this other strait that's about to be closed off, going into the it's called the I always forget the damn name of it. The Mandeb, right, is basically gonna stop the flow of your fertilizer, all right, which it goes into the ureas fertilizer, all right, which 30-40% of the world gets that fertilizer sent to their countries, man. That's already in a hole, all right. Then you have the whole of all this oil, all right. Without oil, you can't have transportation, you can't deport and export things. I mean, you can't bring imports, you can't bring exports out, all right, because you need the oil to make gas, you need gas to run these ships, okay. So all of that is being put to a halt, okay. And that's because, once again, this economy is being crashed by the elites. The global economy is being crashed by the elites by funding these wars to make it collapse so they can bring in this NWO, okay? So the one thing she said is that they're going to be able to stop hyperinflation, okay? And that's going to be the solution, problem, reaction, solution. These elites have created the problem by sending everybody to war. Now, by sending the war, all right, it has caused a problem, man. And Iran has control of everything worldwide right now, right? And then eventually the economies are going to collapse, all right? America here is going to starve out, all right, with other nations also, okay? And that's what's going to have them come with the solution. Okay, well, we're in hyperinflation. People can't afford these things no more. Well, then let's bring in this NWO. Right? And remember, I deemed this year, 2026, year of the NWO and technology, and it looks like it's going to play right out the way it's supposed to, Lord willing. All right. So here's the scenario. Here's the solution. We have this NWO. Okay. Everything has collapsed. We can reset everything. You join this NWO. All right. You won't have to starve no more. You won't have to worry about hyperinflation. All right. Because of this technology. And if you don't comply, well, then they just cut everything off. They just cut off your money source, man. You see, just like she said. So that's how you know that the NWO, all right, this MOTB is about to be made mandatory. Is right any day, is right around the corner, right?
Isn't that wonderful? She said the wonderful thing about central bank digital currency is inflation is no longer a problem. If you have inflation, you just freeze everybody's bank accounts. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. So central bank digital currency. Central bank digital, the important thing to understand about central bank digital currency in an all digital financial system is it's not a currency. It's a control grid. Now, the process to implement central bank digital currency around the world is being overseen by the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. And the Bank of International Settlements is owned by its members. The New York Fed and the Fed are both, the Board of Governors are both shareholders in the BIS.
And what she said, it was about a control grid, and it makes perfect sense because it said, right, it said that they will not be able to buy or sell save he that had the mark. All right. That's control right there within itself. So it says he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or on their foreheads, right? That's the RFID. That's the technology. That's the device. But then it says after that, it says that they might not be able to buy or sell save he that had the mark. There goes the control. You see, you're not going to be able to buy or sell unless you have that technology as verification that you serve the God of this world, right? Because when you go into that word mark, it goes into charagma, which means a badge of servitude. You see, so it's a badge of servitude showing you that you have bowed down to the system, the image, right, of Esau, and that Esau is your God, and that without him, you cannot make it in this society. All right. So it's key that she said that, right? It's a control grid, right?
Central banks are in the BIS, and they are running a process with a major partnership with the Federal Reserve to implement CBDCs, and they're prototyping around the world. In 2020, October 2020, there was a panel at the IMF on cross-border payments. Jay Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, was there. Augustine Carstens was there, and Augustine Carstens said the following, and I'm going to play this for you in a second, but I want you to know I was basically raised and trained to be a central banker. I was asked to be a governor of the Federal Reserve and declined. So, but I was raised that way. And one of the things you're raised to understand is you never, ever, you use pretzel talk. You never explain clearly what you're going to do. You know, you talk in circles. And this was the first
And see, they don't explain it directly, like in the, because in certain places, certain people can't talk it, right? Because then you're exposing the government. That's how they get unalived and all of that. But what they do is they do predictive programming to explain it. Okay. Anybody that has spoken about what's going to happen or what's to come, somehow they get taken off of the air. Somehow they go missing, right? But what you're allowed to do is predictive programming. You're able to show what's to come through movies, maybe make some music on it. You know what I'm saying? You got to be subliminal with it. What they do is a lot of subliminal things, subliminal messages to show you what's to come. See, in order for you to read between the lines, that's you having the eye salve of YAHAWAH'S to be able to see that it's coming. All right. Be able to put the pieces together like, oh, yeah, they're trying to do this. They're trying to do that. OK. So
I've never seen a central banker in English explain exactly what they were planning on doing and why. And I almost fell off my chair. And if you think I almost fell off my chair, you should have seen Jay Powell's face. Okay, so here's Augustine Carstens, 57 seconds, explaining CBDCs.
Part of our analysis on CBDC, in particular for the use of general use, we tend to establish the equivalence with cash. And there is a huge difference there. For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. The key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability, and also we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues are extremely important, and that makes a huge difference with respect to what cash is.
So it basically says right there, follow, clarity, cultivation, creation for more. Oh, that's the end of it. Okay. So you see what he was basically telling you, man. All right. The problem is that they don't know who's using $100 bill today, who's using this, who's using that. Yeah, because there's so many loopholes, people making money off, you know, on the side, you know, without Uncle Sam getting his you know, his cut. See, they want to make sure that the government's getting their cut at all times. That's where the control comes in. That's where the total technocracy comes into play. All right. With all this Bitcoin, right? That's still transferable money, all right, and that's still money that you can hide, all right, in many ways. Look at Epstein, was using all this, he was getting paid doing all this wickedness through Bitcoin and shit like that, right? And he was able to hide it from people tracking his money. Okay, but now, all right, with this technology that they're about to bring, okay, you ain't even gonna be able to do that, not one bit. Not every single dollar is going to be tracked. Okay, every single dollar is going to be tracked. All right, there's nothing that's gonna go unseen, all right, without the government knowing exactly where you got it from, how you got it, who gave it to you, whatever. All right, and this is why the money that is going to be digital currency now in these RFID chips, right, is going to be non-transferable because it's only going to be given to you through the government. Okay, the whole system is going to be connected to the government. Okay, that's why they have the control of saying you won't be able to buy or sell, okay, unless you had this MOTB. Okay, so you won't be able to buy nothing and get the payment for it, or you're not going to be able to sell something and also get the payment for it unless you're connected to the system. All right. So
She said the wonderful.
let's go to this other video.
Listen up. Elon Musk reveals X money may launch soon, fueling crypto speculation. Claims mass and energy will replace US dollar as future currency.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Let me bring that out. That's heavy right there. Because right now we are into an energy crisis. Right?
Listen up. Elon Musk reveals X money may launch soon, fueling crypto speculation. Claims mass and energy will replace US dollar as future currency. It's almost like what I was talking about a month ago is actually gonna happen. So he's claiming mass and energy will replace the US dollar. Now,
and it makes perfect sense of why we're in an energy crisis, you see? Because of the system that they're about to bring in is going to replace all that. It's going to be a solution for that. It's going to be like the lady said in the other video. Well, we won't have to worry about no hyperinflation. We won't have to worry about anything, energy source losing this and that. Why? Because you're going to be connected to the system. You see?
Who his grandfather is, Joshua Haldeman. He was part of the technocracy movement. The technocracy movement was a social movement active in the United States and Canada in the 1930s, and it favored a technocracy as a system of government over representative democracy and partisan politics, as in technocrats would rule and not politicians. Because if you haven't noticed, they are trying to intentionally divide all of us and put us on one or two sides. And that was all by design, so that they could bring this in instead. This is the map of the North American technate, which grandfather of Elon Musk and his colleagues drew up. It has Greenland, Canada, United States, Mexico, and Venezuela. So it seems like everything's going as planned. What these technocrats wanted was an energy distribution card for every citizen. Everyone would get a card, and you would have an allotment of energy that you could use. You cannot go over your energy allotment. You cannot sell your card. You cannot give it away. And you cannot roll over your energy benefits. If you do not use it all, it's just gone. Now, a lot of us have been talking.
And at the end of the day, whether they have cards or not, we always tell you all roads going to lead to the MOTB, because it's just going to become more convenient by them having the actual device. Someone still could lose their card. Someone could still do, basically lose your card at the end of the day. All right. So you won't be able to lose it if you have a technology that's directly into your body. Right. So it goes hand in hand. All right.
Patent for a long time 060606. It's cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Trump has already said that
060606 going into what? Going into the number of his name, right? Which is 666.
It's going to eventually replace cash because they can't control someone with cash. Now, Elon says that mass and energy will replace the US dollar. Well, with his patent tied to cryptocurrency, it does just that. You will have a device or a chip implanted in your body that will sense your body activity, the energy you produce, and it will be tied to a cryptocurrency system. And if it verifies that your body
and that cryptocurrency system will be that social credit score system. All right. The money that's going to be able to be handed over to you through the system is going to be goes into that UBI, universal basic income, all of that. See, and now it makes more sense of why they've been bringing all these different programs out little by little, because they're all going to connect one to another when it comes to this NWO. All right.
Set by the cryptocurrency system, you will get paid, but only if it is verified. Everyone needs to wait.
Verified how? It's going to have to be verified by you showing that you serve Esau in this system with his technology. You see?
The times we are living in, Jesus could return for his church any day now,
please.
and you don't want to be left.
I gotta go, lady. Talking too much. Right? Now let's grab this other video.
Today is an opportunity for Ann and Bill to have a conversation through our brand decoding.
Actually, you know what? Let me open this up. I always forget to open this up.
Trying some new models yesterday.
The device is
Today is an opportunity for Ann and Bill to have a conversation through our brand decoding. We just tried some new models yesterday.
the device is an electrocorticography grid, which is attached to a pedestal, which is screwed onto the participant's skull. And is the very first person to have this combination.
I think you are wonderful.
Our facial muscles, and that's what we're able to decode into speech. Hey, Ann, how's it going?
See, when you see that, that goes into what? They were able to deceive them by the means of those miracles, these technologies. People are going to get deceived by that. People see that, oh, wow, I can't speak, I can't walk, I can't do this, I can't do that. But if I have this technology, I'll be able to make all this happen. You see, that's Esau trying to play the role of God, man. That's Esau always trying to smack the Lord in his face with his technology, because here it is that when someone can't walk, someone loses a leg or something, right? Somebody mute, deaf, whatever it is, right? That's judgment from YAHAWAH'S Yahawashi, all right? But here comes Esau. Well, I can fix that for you. I could take that away from you. I got this type of science that can help you out in your walk, basically. You see? And that's basically a smack to the Lord's face, man, saying that the Lord didn't do justice. The Lord ain't do things or create things right. So I, Esau, all right, is going to make it happen where it should have been corrected, basically. You see? That's how wicked Esau is. That's why Esau got to be taken out of the way, man. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's grab this. This is Isaiah 14, and I'll just go straight to the point. All right. 14, it says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. You see, that's his mentality, man, that he wants to be like the Most High. Okay. He wants to be above, all right, and past the clouds if he could do that. All right. This is 2 Thessalonians 2:4, and it says, who opposeth, all right, and exalted himself. So who opposes, he's opposed to the Heavenly Father, man. Okay, he's on the contrary, right? And he exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped. And that's what he wants you to do by taking on his image. He wants you to worship him so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, right? And how's he going to do that? By sitting in the temple, meaning in your body with his technology. because you yourself are the temple of the Heavenly Father. Okay, our bodies are the temple, so he's going to be able to monitor everything, right? And sit in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is power, showing that he has power by doing that. Okay, this is Romans 1 and 20. 21, right? It says, let's grab it from, 21. Because that when they knew God, right, they glorified him not as God, neither were they thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. You see? So that's why their foolish hearts are darkened. That's why they're under strong delusion. That's why the pride of thine heart has deceived thee. Okay? Because the Lord has you under a strong delusion, thinking, all right, that you're above the Heavenly Father. It says, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Yeah. So they have made an image of their own, all right, corruptible, as it says, made like to be, Salakia, made like to corruptible man, okay, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. And he has done that, making you worship different types of idols, all right, over the Creator, all right. And this is going to be the ultimate device and image that he's going to make you worship over the Creator. It's going to come in the form of technology, all right, basically being that digital Messiah, that digital idol. It says, wherefore Yahweh also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. You see, and that's what eventually they're going to do. They're going to dishonor their own bodies by taking this technology and putting it into their bodies. You see, it says, who changed the truth of a lie, the truth of Yahweh into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator. And that's what he's going to make you do. He's going to make you worship the creature more than the Creator. We're considered as a creature unto the Lord, right? The Lord said, go and preach the gospel unto every creature, all right, in the earth. So he's comparing us to creatures. Okay, so he's going to make the world bow down to a creature rather than to bow down to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. That's the part where he wants you to be, he wants to be worshipped. Okay, and he wants to be called God. He wants to be called power. Okay. And that's why in the fullness of his sufficiency, all right, as the scriptures tell you in Job, the 20th chapter, right, when he is about to fill up his belly, all right, just when he got the world in the palm of his hand, all right, he thinks that he's going to be able to, conquer and be that title of God. That's when the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, is going to do what? He going to stop his enterprise, right? As the scriptures tell you in Job, right, Job 14 and 5. Salakia, 5 and 12, Salakia. Job 5 and 12. And it reads, he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. You see, they will not succeed. All right. There are many devices in a man's heart, but nonetheless, the counsel of the Lord is what's going to stand. Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai's ways, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai's prophecies, those things are going to stand, all right, above this devil that thinks he is God. It says he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. You see, so he going to disappoint the devices of the crafty. Right now, let's play this last video. All right, going into this Skynet.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Today, we're excited to announce the next frontier AI model company to join GenAI.mil, and that is Grok from xAI, which will go live later this month. Very soon, we will have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department. Long overdue. And we will not employ AI models that won't allow you to fight wars. We will judge AI models on this standard alone. factually accurate, mission relevant, without ideological constraints that limit lawful military applications. Department of War AI will not be woke. It will work for us. We're building war-ready weapons and systems, not chatbots for an Ivy League faculty lounge.
And something that it just made me think of, all right, and like I said, the only reason I brought that is because of the name Skynet. When you go into that Skynet, all right, it basically goes into neural net-based artificial intelligence, all right, and that all goes hand in hand with the technology of the RFID, all right. But one thing he was talking about was robots, right, for war. Look at the coincidence on this shit. They have all this technology of building robots, going to war with robots and all of that. We've already seen that they've created robots for war, right, that can fight, can do flips on that shit if they want to, but they won't send them to ground war. They won't send them out there in the war of Iran, right? But they want our people to go out there and fight a war. They want humans to fight a war. Why can't they send these robots? Because these robots are not for that type of war. Those robots that they have created is for the war, all right, amongst the men of the Lord. Because when the Lord lifts up that standard, right, against Esau, he's going to give us spiritual power, okay? And us having spiritual power, this is what they really created, all these different types of robots that battle and combat, you see, because they're going to try to use those against us because they know that the Lord's going to give us that spiritual power, all right, and make us very divine in that day, okay? Lord willing, we're of that, you know, that number, you see. Something that I was thinking about for a while, you know, all this damn technology of robots, they can't send them, they can't send them shits out there to Iran to go fight a war. Nah. Okay. Also these other nations have robots and you know, combat robots, and they're not using them. Why? Because of what they're really going to use it for is the men of the Lord. All right. But you know, that's pretty much the point. All right, with the videos, all of these go back to one thing, this RFID, all right, and this is the snare that's coming upon the world, all right. They have all these different types of baits that are luring you in, all right, and making you comfortable with their technology, their image, their system, okay, but it's all to destroy you, right? This is Habakkuk 1:15, and it reads, they take up all of them with the angle, they catch them in their net, and gather them in their drag, therefore they rejoice and are glad, you see? So they're acting like fishermen right now, putting all these different types of baits on their hooks. They're fishing to see who's going to fall into their system, who's going to fall into their ways, into their image, okay? And once they, you know, get you, all right, mission accomplished. And Esau will wait there all day because he's a cunning hunter. That's what he has. He has all the time in the world as a hunter to catch you into his net, okay? And they're all going to fall. And that's how he's going to heap all nations together, as it tells you 2 and 6, right? And Habakkuk, right? Let's grab that. Matter of fact, let's grab it from 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, and is speaking, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, right? 5, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell and death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right, and how's he gonna do that? By the way of his system, this NWO, his technology. Okay, these devils funding these wars and starving people out, making them annihilate each other. Easy way of depopulation to gain control over the world, okay? And he not satisfied with blood. He has to make sure that he heap people together into his system and make them bow down to his image and bow down to him, you know? And he really want to make you Israelites bow down to him so he could just throw it in the Lord's face like he's been doing everything else, right? Ha ha, look, I got your people bound down to me, you see? But that's going to be the downfall of this devil, right? He's going to be taken out of the way by Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai, right? This is, let me grab Psalm 64, right? And 5, and it reads, They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep, you see? And that's basically what they want to do. All right. They want to get in the inward thought of every single one of them with this technology, tapping into your every thought, your everyday thoughts. You know, what's on your mind? Do they not show you that with Instagram, Facebook? Your profile pic will say on the side what's on your mind, and then you sit there and you write what's on your mind. Okay. Well, that's showing him that he's been gradually already brainwashing you for that moment. All right. With this technology, you ain't gonna have to write it in there. With this technology, you're already gonna think it, and he gonna know about it. What's on your mind? He gonna make you stop before you even proceed with your thought. You see? It says, but Yahweh shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. You see? So the Lord's going to lift up that standard against them, all right, in the fullness of his sufficiency, and they're going to be wounded. They're not going to be able to, you know, make that enterprise come into full effect. Okay? Because the Lord's had him in a trick bag this whole entire time. Right? So let's grab this. And I pretty much ended off through the Spirit. All right. I quoted it earlier. This is Revelation 14:9. And it reads, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in their forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the lambs. All right. That's your, that's going to be your judgment. All right. For taking this, this system, this image. All right. And bowing down to Esau, Edom. All right. This is Revelations 15 and 16, Salakia. And 2, it says, and the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. You see? So anybody that takes this image, right, that takes this technology, you're going to be known that you've taken it through a grievous sore. Okay? A grievous sore goes into a pus-like Salakia, a pus-like fluid that's going to come out where you injected it, whether it be in the forehead, the hand. Okay, the Lord gonna make you real sick. Okay, and as a matter of fact, just putting that technology into your body gonna make you sick regardless, because it's all this different type of electricity running through your body, you know, with different types of ingredients in that RFID. You have semiconductors, pharmaceutical ingredients in there, radio frequency, you know, ingredients in there. All of that shit is bad as hell for your body. A human body is not supposed to go past, I think it's 3G basically. 4G, I think the highest. And we're already in 5G entering into 6G. So imagine all that technology and frequency in your body, right? Right now, they're able to turn on the 6G and basically brainwash people with low frequency words into your mind, make you think that you feel like someone's talking to you and telling you to do this, doing that. And they do that by the way of their technology, man. They show you that in the movie Rampage. When you had the lady go to the top of the damn building and she turned on a certain, I forgot what it was. She hit some breakers or something. And when she turned it on, it sent a small frequency signal to the 3 animals that were created, and it made them turn around and run to where they were, where the sound was. That's how they're going to be able to control you in these last days, man. You know, you having that technology, they can just turn on all types of, you know, machines and make you do whatever they want. All right, you see that in the movie Cell. all right, Supercell or Cell, I forgot what it's called. I think it's Cell, all right, where they, you know, their phones get shut off and they go batshit crazy, basically, with the cyber attack. You see, because they've had all this technology put into their body for a while now, man. Nanotechnologies, graphene oxide, all of that goes hand in hand with you being connected to the RFID and is made to, you know, destroy your body. Okay. Shalom, Sister Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatah to you. All right. So, yeah, that's pretty much the point. All right. That time, all right, as a matter of fact, I'll leave you with this. All right. That snare, all right, of the digital currency is about to be made mandatory. All right. And you have to make sure that you are worthy, all right, to escape from all these things, as it tells you in Luke 21:34. And it reads, watch ye therefore and pray always that you may be accounted worthy to escape. As a matter of fact, let me take it from 34. I went to 36, Salaki. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, so that that day come upon you unawares. Yeah. These people going to get caught unaware by that snare. Why? Because they're caught up in the everyday lifestyles of bullshit and nonsense. Okay. They're not watching what's going on, nor are they taking heed of the word of the watchmen that are set up to give you the warning. You see, just like in the days of Noah, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving into marriage, all right, until the flood came and took them all away. That's the same thing that's going to happen in these last days. As the scriptures say, so shall the Son of Man, the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay, these people going to be caught up with the things of this life, all right, the cares of this life, and it's going to come on them, is going to come upon them unaware. It says, for as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. See, globally, the whole world is going to be smacked with this. You seeing it now by a global collapse happening in front of our faces. And they're too worried about what's happening in the war, what's happening in Iran, what's happening in America, not taking heed to what's happening is meant to usher in the system, right? It says, watch ye therefore and pray always that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Are you worthy to escape these things? You see? Because if you're not worthy, okay, the Lord's going to pretty much line you up. He's going to allow you to verify yourself with Esau rather than to verify with Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, man. You see, and we're hoping that through our works, all right, and through our faith, the Lord counts us worthy, all right, and we're able to escape the hour of temptation. We're able to escape World War III, being drafted. We're able to escape famine and Jacob's trouble, all right, because we believed in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and took heed to his word, all right. So I'm going to leave you there through the Spirit. Lord willing that you were edified. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Kol Halon and La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Brachah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahushai. Sisters, continue to learn the silence, watching the true men of the Lord, and stay prayed up, all right? And, you know, ask Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, continually crying out to him that we be protected in these last days, and that he have mercy upon us in the day of judgment, and that he keep us from the hour of temptation and from all these other things, all right, that are pretty much wicked, all right? As the scriptures say, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, all right? And we have to constantly ask and cry out to the Lord through supplication that he keep us in these times. So with that being said, Shalom, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua Barakatah to you, sister. Shalom.